Hey YouTubers, happy Labor Day. Hope nobody's actually in labor out there, but if you are, well, good luck. Push. I'm going to do a Q&A video. I've rounded up more questions than I thought I had. And I doubt I'll get to all of them in this video. Before I do that, I'm going to let you guys know that Maritime Piper is having a giveaway. This is not a VR for that. And he has yet to have any entries into his giveaway. And I was hoping that you could help me rectify that situation. Show him some support. He's a cool guy. And it's a topic, it's not a typical giveaway topic, favorite tobacco, that kind of stuff. It's a feel-good topic. He wants to know stories of kindness in the YTPC, and I'm sure we've all got several. So with a little participation, this could turn into a really nice giveaway. So y'all go check him out, Maritime Piper. All right. See if I can talk without choking to death here. So these questions are ones that might take a little bit to answer. First one, and maybe the only one for this video, we'll see. My buddy Douglas McGrew was talking in a live chat I was doing, and he brought up the subject of, or the subject of sports came up. The greatest moment in baseball, and his personal choice was the Kirk Gibson homer in, was it, I believe, 88? Man couldn't even walk to come out for the opening introduction before the game. Comes on in a pinch hit situation late in the game and hits a home run. But it was that iconic base trot where he's like, yeah, you know, just living it up. I'm not a Dodgers fan, so that one's not my top. But I recognize the importance and the significance of that moment. Definitely one of the most iconic moments in baseball history. It reminded me of Carlton Fisk, 1975, Game 6 for the Red Sox. When he hit that home run and was begging it to stay fair, you know, waving his hands as he's starting to get ready to run towards first base. That was an iconic moment. Won them the game, but they lost the series in the next game. That was another iconic moment. Wasn't that Buckner's error that lost them that game? Sorry, Brad. I think my favorite moment not favorite, but most iconic moment. There's two of them that first popped in my head when I started thinking about this. Well, before I get to those, there were some other goodies out there. the Nolan Ryan, Robin Ventura fight, if you could call it a fight, the Nolan Ryan ass whooping of Robin Ventura. That was pretty humorous. I'm not a big fan of iconic moments being when, like, someone breaks a record necessarily, like when Cal Ripken beat the Iron Man streak, or home run records being broken or something like that. One of those that stands out to me, though, is when Rickey Henderson broke the stolen base record. And reached down and pulled the base out of the ground and held it up over his head. That was pretty iconic. Ted Williams. I'm sorry, Lou Gehrig. Luckiest Man Alive speech. That was easily one of the most iconic moments in sports. So that one probably gets my vote for this. Even if you're not a baseball fan, that speech was fantastic. Look it up sometime if you haven't seen it or have forgotten what he said in it. Most people only remember, today I consider myself the luckiest man alive. But he said a lot more in there than just that. And the other one that popped in my head was Bill Mazeroski, Pirates, 1960. Pirates and the Yankees it was game 7. They had a back and forth game where I think the Pirates came back with 3 runs in the bottom of whatever inning it was, and then to take a lead. And then the Yankees came back with 2 runs in the top of the next inning to retake the lead. Or to tie it up, I'm sorry. When Bill Mazeroski steps up to the plate. Guy delivers the pitch. He hits a home run. It was the first walk-off home run in World Series history. There's only been 2. Do you know who the other one was? But anyway, his was the first in 1960. And there's video of him rounding the bases, just waving his arms, and it's just great. It's just wonderful. This question got me thinking about something else. And that was, greatest plays and things like that in baseball. And I bet if 10 of you answered that question without hearing anybody else's answer, greatest plays, I bet at least 3, if not more, would say Willie Mays, the catch. This is one of those things where my opinion is not appreciated in most conversations. Okay, I live in the Bay Area in San Francisco, or south of San Francisco. Everybody out here only thinks the San Francisco Giants exist. There's no other baseball team besides the San Francisco Giants. It's like the Harlem Globetrotters playing the Washington Generals. Every other team is like the Washington Generals to Giants fans. That's an exaggeration, but you understand what I'm saying. A very passionate fan base. So when Willie Mays made that catch, the ball was hit over his head. He turned around, took off on a dead run, and caught it over his shoulder, basket catch kind of thing, and turned around and threw it back in the infield. Most people don't don't know how that play ended. They just remember the catch. And that's fine. And they hail it as the greatest catch ever. A lot of people, not just San Francisco fans. I contend that there's 3 or 4 plays as good or better than that made weekly in the major leagues. There's some unbelievable plays made all the time. That one stands out because it was one of the very few filmed at the time. There was no top 10 on ESPN every day, or no weekly greatest plays and on Today in Baseball or whatever. This Week in Baseball. It stood out as the greatest play because it was the only one that was seen. There probably weren't very many plays from that year seen by very many people at all. Was it a good catch? Absolutely. Was it the best catch ever? Probably not in the top 50. There's been some amazing plays made. Anyway, I think I'll use the rest of this video to talk about other iconic sports. Other things in other sports that stood out to me as the most iconic moments. Football. I think 2 or 3 come to mind. Dwight Clark's The Catch. And what was that, like this 80, 79, 80, 81, somewhere in there, Super Bowl? It's just one of those images that stick with you forever. Him leaping up and making that catch to win the Super Bowl. Then there's like the famous historical plays like the Holy Roller and that kind of stuff. I tend to agree with Madden about that play. It was just you should hear his opinion on it. It's out there somewhere. It disgusted him. He thought it was an illegal play. An illegal advancing of the ball. Another one that stood out to me when it happened, I thought, man, that was fantastic. It's just one of those things that you just want to watch over and over again, was when Bo Jackson ran over Brian Bosworth. Bosworth was the mouth. Bo Jackson was the force that shut him up, at least for a minute. Just bowled him over. A play that would be illegal today. There's not a lot from football that really stands out to me that I remember like that. I mean, there's been some college stuff that was wonderful to watch, but they happen all the time. Those kinds of things happen all the time, and none of them really stand out. I mean, individual games and stuff like that stand out, but hockey, I mentioned this one when I was talking to Douglas. Well, there's 2, but they're 2 different sports. Okay, so NHL, the absolute greatest moment in NHL history was when Bobby Orr scored the winning goal in the 1970 Stanley Cup Finals. You see that picture of him flying through the air. And he says when he scored the goal and saw it go through the guy's legs, he jumped. Well, that's not what the photo says, or the video. He jumped, but that's not, he didn't dive like that. When he jumped, that defenseman that was standing in front of him tripped him. That's what sent him flying like that. But that's an absolutely iconic sports moment. The other one is Olympic hockey, the Miracle on Ice. There's not a moment in that from the game that I bet very many people remember at all. It was the call, Al Michaels. Do you believe in miracles? But that was an incredible thing. A lot of people believe the U.S. beat the Russians for the gold medal. They actually beat them in the game before that. They played, was it Finland in the gold medal round? But to get to the gold medal game, they beat Russia. They beat they probably beat the hardest team in hockey at that moment to beat. And this wasn't the NHL's best players. These were college students, amateurs. None of them had ever made a dime playing hockey. One of the most unlikely victories ever. Basketball, there's probably a lot from, I'm not a huge basketball fan, there's probably a lot of moments out there that were, great moments, like Michael Jordan's tongue wagging dunks and all this, all these different things. The one that stood out to me is that photo of Wilt Chamberlain. After having scored 100 points in a game, in a season where he averaged over 50 points a game. Think about that. Averaged over 50 points a game. But he did something that I think Kobe Bryant scored in the 70s or 80s in one game. But no one's really threatened that record in a time when individual effort as opposed to team effort rules basketball. You'd think someone would have approached that, but and they marked it. We didn't have TV graphics and all this stuff going off. They celebrated it with a photo of him holding a little piece of paper about 6 by 6 or something with the number 100 drawn on it in a magic marker. Golf, the most iconic moments from golf for me. Some of them I never saw, I've only read about. One of them was the '84 Masters when Jack Nicklaus won. That's a great moment when he sinks that putt. My favorite is probably when Payne Stewart won the U.S. Open the last time. That was a magic moment. There was Gene Sarazen's, I think it was a 4-wood from the 1935 Masters, the second Masters tournament that it was ever played. holed out a shot on the par 5, number 15th hole, for a double eagle, a 2 on a par 5. Put him into a playoff that he won the next day. There were about a dozen people that witnessed that shot. And at one time, there was an interview with Gene Sarazen. He said, I've had literally thousands of people come up to me and say, I was there when you did that. There probably weren't thousands of people at that tournament. Much less standing around the green on the 15th hole after the person who was thought to have won the tournament was on the 17th or 18th hole at the time. Bobby Jones winning the Grand Slam, 1930. Byron Nelson winning 11 tournaments in a row in a year where he won 18 tournaments. That will never be accomplished again. That is an untouchable record in sports. All the other ones, maybe. That one, never. Ben Hogan winning the U.S. Open 18 months after he was in a horrific car crash and couldn't even walk. They didn't think he would ever walk again. Played his way into a 3-man playoff. And then went out and won by 6 shots, I believe. Unbelievable. I thought of 2 more moments from baseball. They're tied together. One of them was the George Brett pine tar incident. That was pretty funny. The other was Dave Parker for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Hit a fly ball that hit a seagull or a pigeon or something, I don't remember what, and killed it. And they were actually trying to figure out if they could prosecute him for animal cruelty. The man batted a ball that the bird flew into. But anyway, not long after that, somebody came out with a t-shirt that had George Brett and Dave Parker tarred and feathered. There's also video out there of Randy Johnson throwing like 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and a bird flew in front of it right before it got to home plate. Just destroyed it. Anyway, this one went a lot longer than I anticipated. Douglas, thanks for the question, man. It made me think about all kinds of stuff. And there's several sports things that I didn't even touch. But if this makes you think of other questions, or if you dispute some of these things I say, throw it down there in the comments. We'll talk about it. You guys take it easy. I'll see you on the next Q&A.